Well, hey now, folks. John Duffin here. Welcome to another episode of JD Gets Authentic right here on nofilter.net. It's great to have you aboard. Thrilled that you're watching. If you're watching me live tonight, that is fantastic. And folks, anyone that's joining us here live, you got a couple of options to join me in on the fun. First off, you got a chat button here, right? Type in any comments, anything good, bad, indifferent, agree, disagree, what have you. Type in anything. I will make certain that I'm responding. And even more fun, if you're here with me live tonight, there is on the left-hand side bottom a knock button. What does that do? That knock button, when you do, you get a chance to hop on camera with me live right now. And so I'm joining you live from Philadelphia, PA. Wherever you happen to be from, if you're with me live, great, welcome. If you're watching on the archive, welcome. Hopefully the information won't be too dated. We try to keep it fresh and topical, but welcome aboard. The whole point, the whole vantage point of this show, this platform for me, is I get the chance to help you find your best, most true, authentic business voice. Now, look, we do tie in some sports. I don't make it gratuitous, okay? This is a business platform for me. The program that I'm offering is business intensive, but don't use the word intensive like a big drag, okay? Nothing about this can be that intensive, but it's the way that you can speak your best. So when you're saying something that matters to someone who matters, you've got the chance to use your authentic skill set to be your most true, authentic best. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, meet the person of your dreams, make billions of dollars. I can't guarantee those last two just yet, but a lot of the other stuff I can guarantee because I've lived this and I've been trained by some of the world's best. So what I wanted to offer tonight was 3 tips, suggestions as to how you can be more authentic. And I want to use a couple of timely examples when authenticity can be a little bit difficult. Okay. So humor me, right? I'm a Philadelphia native. I'm a big time Philadelphia Eagles fan, and not a great day if you were paying attention to the NFL yesterday. Now, if you're a San Francisco 49ers fans, well, you might be a little happier than me. That was awful, right? So the Eagles got killed at 49-14. Just a rough day all the way around. Tough to watch, tough to wake up the next day for, honest to God, just like, ugh, right? But you've got to go on. I was thinking about this because, look, not every story is a great story. Not every bit of news is good news. And what I was thinking about is the way that a tough loss is positioned. And one of the things I was thinking about was the post-game press conferences. Now, I'm going to work with 2 teams tonight. Of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni being the head coach of the Eagles. I'm going to certainly reference a couple of words that Nick had to say. And then I'm also going to emphasize a player and a coach from the Kansas City Chiefs, not the opposing team. I don't want the 49ers. Sorry, if you're a San Fran fan, great. But then I'm going to emphasize Andy Reid, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, used to be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, revered Hall of Fame. He'd get in the Hall of Fame with either team, let alone both. But tough loss for them last night against the Green Bay Packers. And Travis Kelce, who was quoted during the post-game press conference. And I want to reference him. Why? Well, I don't know. He's so damn cute. And he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Now, I don't want to come off as too cliched as the gay man talking sports. But what I want to talk about is the nuances of how you handle bad news and be authentic. Because in the 3 things that I want to talk about tonight, what I want to talk about point blank is the ability to be able to deliver difficult news in a business setting, but be able to do it in a way where you don't have to come off stiff and forced and labored and distant and removed. Let me give you an example. I want to share the screen for 1 second, and I want to be able to do the following, which is, I'm hoping I get this right. Humor me, because I'm going to go to Coach Reid. Forgive me, I'm laughing. So one of the things that Andy Reid was never really thought of in the past was an overly emotional type, right? So let me just play a few seconds of the post-game press conference from Andy Reid. Honestly, guys, and I hope the audio works with this, but give a listen. Andy Reid, an absolute fascinating orator. He used to drive us crazy in Philadelphia because he came off like a robot, for God's sakes. A complete robot. Michael Plishka, I see you, brother. I'm so glad you joined the fun. So Andy Reid, who, like I said, is revered by the players, has is Hall of Fame twofold in terms of a record, and everyone loves him. But the media and the fans after games wanted to kill him because everything sounded so distant and the time is yours and the injury report. Okay. Tip number 1, when you're speaking in business or you're speaking to anyone where something matters, you're always speaking to someone, not at someone. When you sound all, well, there's the injuries, this, and the times that, nobody speaks directly to anyone and sounds so cold and aloof. Now, NFL coaches are trained to have that armor up. Don't let in on anything. Other coaches are watching your every move. You don't want to give away secrets. In business, it's different. Now, you don't have to be overly emotional, but all of that armor in front of you does such a disservice, because you sound cold and distant. How do you fix that? In an important conversation, if you're speaking to a group of people, talk to someone. If you are with clients, talk to a specific client. You could speak to people one at a time. You're allowed, right? So I can literally have a thought and speak to a person, whether it's in a boardroom or a conference room. I could look at another person and speak to them. The fact of the matter is, it's impossible when you're speaking to someone to sound so cold and distant. What's happening is you're trying to literally remove yourself from the situation. How does that impact you in business? People only react and will do something if they feel something. It's the only way. So what I'm saying to you is, so often we're told in business we have to be hardened and armored and salesy. And I'm telling you, that's not so. I'll give you an example with me. I remember I was going up for a promotion and I didn't get the promotion years ago. And I remember the boss that was telling me, he was saying, "Oh, John, you're just too emotional," of which I went completely out of my mind and got so overly emotional. But when I spoke to a colleague later that day and told them what was said to me, "Oh, John, you're a little too emotional," they said to me, "John, that's your whole MO. That just shows you have a pulse." And what I'm saying to you is, people want authenticity in business. Now, again, NFL coaches are guarded, and aren't allowed to let anything out. All of that's in the locker room. We all are talking in secret. But the fact of the matter is, all I'm saying is, in any other platform, it doesn't work. The easiest fix so you don't get lost in your own thoughts, talk to someone. Don't talk at someone. Now, I'm going to show you one more example. Sorry, I just like him a ton. I do. We're going to do that one again. Now, I'm a little biased because I love Travis Kelce and I'm a complete weirdo. But here's what I was going to say. He didn't say all that much more than Andy Reid said. But I'm going to notice that he made direct eye contact to the person that was asking the question, direct eye contact, and gave a very direct answer when the reporter was giving Travis Kelce the opportunity to, in essence, deflect blame. Oh, the refs weren't helping you, and blah, blah, blah. And literally what Travis Kelce said with making eye contact was, hey, I'm not going to blame this on anyone but ourselves. Now, he didn't give out government secrets. But the fact of the matter is, what he was able to do is just become more authentic and believable. People want to know you're in there, right? So, again, that first tip that I gave you, talk to someone, not at someone. What I'm going to share is tip number 2. All right, in terms of for business for tonight, you're able to show some emotion. You got to read the room. You simply have to read the room. People don't want they don't want you to burst into tears unless the situation merits it and it's called for it. But in business, most often it isn't. But you can show enthusiasm. You can show disappointment. You can certainly show accountability. Let me give you an example. I remember I was preparing for a major company presentation to our shareholders, our stockholders, stakeholders, sorry. And it had to do with the annual revenue plan. And I realized right before we were going to present, and then it was to my team of bosses and senior VP this and EVP that, and good people, I'm not throwing them under a bus. But what I was going to say was I realized like literally a couple of minutes before it mattered, I had made a ridiculously bad math error to the result of about, I don't know, $500,000. Oops. So bigger problem was it was one of those types of reports that you put in one cell a number, and if you put the wrong one, it takes it to the next 37 pages and compounds the error. So that happened. I see the error and almost had a heart attack. So much so that I remember, well, I was just going to literally throw myself on the sword. I couldn't hurt my teammates, so I was just going to do the right thing and resign. I mean it, resign. Go home is what I was going to do. Well, the fact of the matter is, by the time I worked up the nerve to tell my bosses what occurred, I was hyperventilating, and then I made a mistake, and I thought you should know. They're like, what? And I told them, and here was the response. And they're like, well, then fix it. We're not going on in 10 minutes. Just fix the number. Honest to God, I had worked myself up and was hyperventilating and was drafting my resignation letter and was all prepared to resign. And just get white out and put the new number in. So what? After the meeting was over, which went fine, the one boss calls me over and I'm thinking, oh, he's just going to make me feel better, right? He was just going to let me know everything's good. He's like, yo, He said, you got to calm down a little bit. So what am I saying? Read the room. They don't need all of your emotion, but you do not need to be a robot, right? A direct answer is great in a business setting. What happened? Are you speaking to a client? What happened? What went wrong? Why didn't we get X? You're not always delivering happy news. You're just not. That's not realistic. But when you need to be accountable, be accountable. You can show some emotion. In fact, I'm going to give you a hack that could work in anticipating what sort of emotion to show in a business setting. And I say, read the room. Here's an example, right? Picture what is going to be involved realistically, not some hyper drama. Realistically, what extra work or burden is the other person going to have to endure based upon your shortcoming, not delivering the sales revenue or whatever the case may be? Give a moment and think, what will that person have to do now? And no, it won't be jump off a bridge. No, it won't. It won't be file for divorce. It won't be. But they'll be inconvenienced into some extent. Temper your emotion to the amount of extra work they're going to have to do. Here's another example that I remember in terms of reading the room and hyperventilating. Apparently, I do that a lot, right? So I can remember I had missed a deadline erroneously from a client thing. I literally misread the deadline. I had double checked about 19 times. And I can remember I go into my boss almost hysterical. And but I'm going to let her know that I blew it. So with the helmet off, turn Travis Kelce back on. Hey all. Sorry about that. So anyway, I love Travis. So he can do no wrong. But the fact is, I go into my boss, let her know I missed a deadline. I'm wildly upset. Didn't read the room, though. Didn't read the room. I literally could have done that, used my own advice. And I can remember, she's like, what is it? What is it? Just tell me. And I told her, I thought the deadline was 2 weeks from now. It's this coming Friday. And what she did, just by me letting her know. Now, the funny thing was, in that story, she thought I was coming in to resign. She said to me, I was going to come over that desk and break your arms. She goes, I had stood up for you and you were going to quit on me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Quit? I said, here's what occurred when I stood up and was accountable and told the truth, right? Showed some emotion, probably too much emotion, but tip number 3, stand tall. Be accountable. Don't deflect. Like Travis Kelce, don't deflect. Here's what she did for me. We were still early with this client presentation. She's like, she gathered half the sales team to help me pull it together. And we completely made the deadline, crushed it, and it worked out great in terms of the overall results. So when you're able to stand in your truth for anything, a situation, a business situation, it really matters. Bonus tip. And now I'm going to reference Nick Sirianni. I don't have the video of this. I didn't want to keep playing video, right? Nick Sirianni, who I love, great energy, typically pretty damn strong press conferences too, right? But he was also been 10-1. So press conferences are a lot easier when you just keep winning week after week. Then you get killed like yesterday, right? So this was one line. I know I'm paraphrasing, but I'm going to give you an example of just not standing in, but giving a very cliched answer. And I paraphrase, but I'll do my best here, right? Well, players got to play better. Coaches got to coach better. We got to get this fixed. We're going to work on it this week. Why, thank you for all that. Players got to play better. Coaches got to coach better. We got to get this fixed, and we'll work on it this week. Okay. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No real skin in the game. Now, again, I go back to what you're supposed to be doing, I guess, as head coaches or in the NFL is always having your guard up. All the real emotion is in the locker room. Nobody knows. Nobody is paying attention. Nobody can see, right? Here's what I'm saying in real life and important conversations, in business conversations. I'm going to repeat. People only do things when they feel things. Your stats, your statistics, your coldness, or this sense of acting powerful doesn't work. One of the coolest parts about this specific platform, nofilter.net, is when they say authentic, when they say no filter, it's any personality in any mood. The personalities on this network, people that I really gravitate toward, Jeremy Roenick, Ed Burns, Joe Manuel, Tony Bruno, and that's just a few names. Will Clark. I could throw out a bunch. Tim Peel. Oh my God. One of my new favorites. Tim Peel from Snipes and Stripes. All of them have distinctly different personalities. One of the coolest parts about in terms of speaking in business to a client, in a boardroom, to an audience, on social media, on a live stream like nofilter.net, no one's saying I have to sound like Ed Burns. No one's saying I have to sound like Will Clark. I don't think I could. But being true and authentic is your version of it. So that's the reason why it becomes so important. You're more memorable when you're true. People will say, I get to use this word all the time, Plishka's anywhere near. And by the way, if you had the nerve, Michael Plishka, to knock on that door, you would make my day totally, but it's okay if you can't. I understand. But the fact of the matter is, and I say knock on the door, that sounds a little, there's no door, but I would allow you to knock on the computer screen and let you in gladly. But what I would say is this, that ability to be able to speak true works in business. It works in terms of professionalism. You're not less professional because you're showing emotion. You're not. In fact, you're more professional because you're more in tune to the situation. When you speak to someone and not at someone, you're more engaged. You're more inclined to have a stronger relationship, a stronger encounter. And I use these examples of either NFL coaches or personalities because the stiff, standard, cliched answers, you're probably not going to get much more than that. But the nuances of direct eye contact, speaking directly to someone, will do you such a solid in regards to being memorable, being relatable, being more engaging, and therefore drawing someone in. So the 3 tips that I wanted to repeat tonight with those 3 examples are: number 1, watch all the armor. Watch all of that. It is not critically necessary. You're not trying to be a type. You're not trying to be a walking cliche. You do not have to be so guarded. In fact, don't really try not to. How do you get to do that? Again, always speak specifically to someone. Who? Not a type, not an avatar, not a cliche. Who? I am speaking directly to. And talk to them. Talk to them. If you even have to imagine someone, say you're doing a live stream, right? And you don't have a ton of direct audience engagements, that's okay. Imagine someone you're speaking directly to. It's like when you're doing social media content. You're not just talking to the phone. You're not just talking to your followers. You're talking to a specific individual and you know who they are. You know exactly who they are. Okay. And so talk to them. And then number two, you can show emotion, but do read the room. Take the hack that I shared, which is, for instance, this picture. If you need to talk about something difficult, something overly technical, or something where the results didn't go the way that you wanted them to go, if you have to relay some sort of professional bad news, think about when you share that news, what is going to happen with the other person? What extra work is going to be involved for them? And temper your emotion to that. Okay. And in that way, you're allowed to express sadness, disappointment, but the more engaged you are, the more you're right there with someone or someone's. Well, the fact of the matter is, you become more true and authentic, relatable, believable. Okay. And then always, 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 always stand tall. Be true, be you. Sounds like such a cliche, right? But it's not. You're not perfect. You're allowed to make mistakes. You can convey the fact that you made the mistake, but be very specific in the way that you're speaking to someone. Don't deflect accountability. Really don't. It's not, it just doesn't help anything. Own up to something. Allow your voice to sound, again, empathetic. If you made a mistake, an error, if you didn't deliver the results that you offered to deliver, it's not just what you're giving somebody, but it's the way that you're articulating it, right? If someone really believes and they can hear that it matters to you, that it didn't happen, there's a much better chance you're going to get that second chance. There's a much better chance you're going to get the opportunity to make it right. Whereas if it is that cold sort of, well, players got to play better, coach got to coach better, that's when the client might want to kill you. So what can you do to be accountable, to sound authentic, and still sound in command? Those three things. Those three things, right? Drop some of your guard. Let some of that let some of that armor go. Easiest, hardest thing to do, especially when it's uncomfortable. Feel absolutely okay with showing some emotion. True emotion. No overly emote, no histrionics. Read the room. And then be you. Be you. Understand. Last tip in that same topic. Last tip, which is this. Imagine if someone was delivering that same bit of, say, bad news to you. How would you relate? What would it be like for you? How would you relate back to them? Think about that, because people are not, most people anyway, are not looking to take someone's head off. That's a personality quirk on their end, not yours. But usually what occurs is the problem becomes when it sounds like you don't care, you're not present, you've checked out. So don't, again, have direct conversations that enable you to be able to throw your best, true, most authentic business voice, right? Which is what authenticity is all about. As I said, you've got, when you watch this network, nofilter.net, and you watch the array of programs, and there's a lot of great stuff. Keep watching it. Try all of it. But you're going to see an array of different personalities that convey themselves drastically differently. I know I shared on the first episode, like I said, this is personal to me because of how well I've been treated by the personalities and the key personnel for this platform, right? I've always felt that I've been treated like $1 million. So what does that do? It enables me to be able to be more true and right. And so the life lesson here, when you're more authentic, honest to God, well, here's what happens. So is everybody else. Honest to God. So is everyone else. And I really believe that. I don't think I'm being Pollyanna here. I strongly believe that the more authentic you are, the more authentic you can encourage other people to be, the more genuine conversations we can have. And as a result, from a business side, more and better business gets done. So, folks, with that, keep checking me out. I will be back with you next week for more JD Gets Authentic. And that's John Duffin, for those of you keeping score. Thanks so much for showing up for me. Keep telling your friends and your family. Keep checking out the platform, and we will keep driving the content right through your front door. Michael Plishka, thank you for the kind words, brother. I love you, and thanks for showing up for me. Have a fantastic night all, and we will be back soon. All right? Be well now. Bye.